Hey guys, my name's Levi, and I had a problem that I thought needed fixing, and I kind of wanted to see what my options were. So this is kind of me taking a look into it, and I ended up making most of this just to figure out the answer for myself. And so I was like, well, why not just make a YouTube video? I already got all the footage and everything, so let's just do it. So the original Xbox is a system that I've been collecting for a while. I still have a lot to do on my to-play list. I don't have much left on my to-buy list for it, but my to-play list for it is very extensive, and the backwards compatibility on the Xbox 360 One and Series X really has a very limited selection. Like, of like my 40 original Xbox games, I can play like 6 or 7 of them on the newer systems, so a lot of them, I'll be playing it on these. And in order to do that, I need a way to hook it up to a TV and make sure that I have the best output possible. The system comes with composite cables, which is the typical white, yellow, red, and I decided that this is just kind of fine. This is the standard, this is what everybody uses usually, and so I decided to test it out today as part of this. But a while back, I had seen on the Metal Jesus Rocks channel that there was an HDMI cable made by Pound for the original Xbox. I thought that sounded great. I thought that was an easy upgrade, no effort needed. And it probably looks and sounds the best of all the things I've tried. The problem is, it is a real pain to use. Because basically anytime you turn the system off or on, anytime you change games, anytime you pause, anytime you get a loading screen, just like all these random things, the cable shorts out, it stops working, one time it even like crashed the console on me. And about 2/3 of games I try, it doesn't even work with. So, sounds great, but like, it really isn't worth the hassle. And also, by default, it always will output to 16:9, no matter what the system is telling it to. And half the time, the system registers it as an output that's looking for a 4x3 signal. So, like, really, this cable works? And when it does work, it's great, but it has way too much trouble actually working, and it's really not worth the effort. So, big improvement over composite for the sake of just quality, but also user experience really drags it down. So the big thing I'm really wondering about today is I have the official S-Video cable for the original Xbox, and I have a third-party component cable for the original Xbox, and I kind of want to figure out one, which of these two cables is better, but also I want to figure out if the difference in quality between them and the Pound HDMI cable for the original Xbox is going to be that noticeable to me. Because if this just looks that much better than every other option, maybe it's worth me trying to struggle through using it every time I want to play an original Xbox game. But if these ones are pretty comparable to it, I'm happy sticking with these and just kind of having a cable that works reliably. So, it's kind of me just being curious. How do they look? What do they look like? The game I was planning on playing sometime soon was Halo Combat Evolved, so I just decided to pop that in the systems, and we're gonna go with that. So when I use retro systems in my setup, I typically am running them through the RetroTink 2X, which is sort of an upscaler, but mostly it's just so that you can plug in any kind of older cable, composite component. S-Video is what it supports. You can throw in a line doubler, smoothing filter. There's a newer version out there that does audio quality a little bit better than this one, and it also even has like scan lines if you really want that. This is the one I have though, and this is what I typically use for all my stuff, and it works great with all my older consoles. The thing is, it only outputs at I believe 480p, maybe 480i, and my Elgato HD60 Pro basically has no clue what that signal is, so I use an M Classic to upscale that a little bit more. This was an adapter that came out somewhat recently. You basically plug it into HDMI signals and it upscales it. So when I plug it into this, it goes from 480p to 720p. My capture card can get that. Also, this will just do like 720p to 1080p, 1080p to 1440p, 1440p to 4K. At least I think it does that. Last one I haven't really tested it. It also can force an aspect ratio, so like 4:3, 16:9, or just let it pass through whatever it does by default. So this one's helpful for that because it lets me use it on older systems and integrate it with the RetroTink. So that's how I'm going to be capturing all this footage, is through this, including the pound cable, which will also be running through this, just to give it a try. Although the issues with this regarding it basically always outputting at the wrong aspect ratio, that's still true with this. Even though you can force an aspect ratio with this thing still finds a way around it to mess up the signal, and it's weird. Everything today will be running through the RetroTink 2X, through the M Classic, and then through whatever cable I chose and have it labeled as, into an Elgato HD60 Pro. So, yeah, that's what these are at. And I just kind of want to see which one works best for me and which one I want to leave in my system. So first time through, this is going to be just the title screen running through its sequence. Second time through is going to be that, but more zoomed in, so you can kind of see a little bit more of the detail and inconsistencies when it's kind of more at like 100% scale or so. Third time will be really zoomed in so that you can see like if there's any little flickering, get a better judgment of some of the colors. And the third time through is just segments from the opening movie where it plays some gameplay and just kind of showing the HUD and seeing how clear that comes out, because that's a part that will be important in most games, is seeing like the little details that have your information. Hope it's interesting, because I'm interested in seeing what works out for me. And yeah, let's go. Okay, so we've looked it over, and I'm surprised by the results a little bit. In my experience, I haven't noticed a ton of difference between the S-Video and Component, typically. The pound cable did still have probably the best image, but a few scenes I noticed that the S-Video and Composite were very bright a lot of the time, and there was even some points where there was details that, like, the cable could get that even the pound cable couldn't. It definitely looked the sharpest with the pound cable, but I'm finding that this cheap old component cable that I got for like $6, probably actually my best bet. It handles the brightness a lot better than the composite and S-Video do. It doesn't have the cable issues and disconnecting and turning off and going to a blank screen and aspect ratio issues that the pound cable has, so yeah. Who would have guessed the cheapest and least valuable cable here was actually the best one? So yeah, it was an interesting thing to find out, and I suppose to clarify, both of these have their own smoothing features on them. They were both on in this video. I don't know if you can really turn it off on the M Classic, since the entire point of upscaling is it does checkerboard upscaling, where it tries to basically blur the pixels to get that higher resolution and smoother edges. So this one it's mandatory, but this one it's optional, and I chose to turn it on. Typically, it's kind of up to you if you want the smoothing feature on or off with this. For me personally, 9 times out of 10, if it's a polygon-based game, I'll probably have it on for this. For texts, it can really kind of be iffy one way or another. In this case, I didn't test having text with the smoothing filter off. Maybe it looks a little better there, but I figured I'd play the main part of the game where you're mostly focusing on polygons and older textures and stuff. I'd play that with the smoothing filter, so I was kind of testing it using that. So yeah, hopefully this was fun for you guys. It was interesting for me to figure out kind of what my options are with this, and it's good to know now that most of these cables can just go into storage. I don't need to like hold them all out, and then every time I bring out the console, have no idea what I need to make it look the best it can and play the best it can. So now I actually got my definitive answer, and so component is the way to go, it seems. Maybe you'll have different results if you have different equipment, but this is just my experience with it, and I had a fun time. So, if you want to see kind of what we do with all these Xbox games, we're probably going through them on Twitch. We kind of have a whole variety of things we always go through there, but Twitch is the main place where all the gaming stuff I do happens, and where you get to see just what it looks like when I get all these capture cards and stuff hooked up. So, yeah, go check me out there. Link is below or probably on screen. Here's other cool videos that probably are nothing like this, since I've never done a video like this, so bye.